Welcome back to another episode of the Rise and Grind podcast. It's my privilege today to sit down with a friend of mine. He's a real estate agent up in Calgary, Derek Thistle. And if you're from Medicine Hat, that probably doesn't mean much. But I think if anyone is interested in living a bigger and better life or wanting to be better at whatever they're trying to do, I highly recommend you listen to this podcast, whether you're in the real estate world or not. Derek is one of the highest producing agents in Calgary. There's, I believe last time I checked, like 6,000 realtors in Calgary. And Derek has not had his license for that long. I believe only 4 or 5 years. He came into the industry a year and a half after I did. And watching him ascend the ranks, number one, is very noble. And I aspire to do the production that Derek does by himself. He's not a part of a team. He's with Remax. He's a solo agent. And Derek's story is really, really unique and really cool. We get into that quite a bit in this conversation. And one of the things that I'm always curious in is when someone totally shifts careers into something else, this case being real estate. And I'm always curious why that happened and what led to that decision, because my story is very, very similar. I was unfulfilled in what I was doing before shifting to real estate. And I'm not saying Derek was unfulfilled, but he definitely had some challenges going on. And I can't imagine being in the police force for as long as he did. And he does dive into some of those details, which I really appreciated because it really brings some color to his story and helps the listener. And for me, I didn't know a lot of the things that he shared, kind of understand why he made the switch. And I love when I see someone totally shift careers, because I know how much friction there is in that decision and how many naysayers there are, and how kind of the deck is stacked against you to succeed in making that switch. And Derek's absolutely knocked it out of the park. And he continues to crush it. And I think he's going to do more and more production and be more profitable year over year because he does things right. We talk about his standard operating procedures from the police force into real estate, how he uses the same concept for the foundation of his business, how he puts people in the right place to succeed, whether that's his business manager or his videographer. And he has this, I would say, this style to him that is very unique, and he is able to relay the message to his audience, people in Calgary, that he is very much good at what he does, and he does things in a way that people appreciate, and he's very good communicating with his clients to where they know exactly what's going on, and people are gravitating towards him. I think in the real estate market right now, the importance of a real estate agent is becoming more and more important, kind of like how it was in 2018, 2019. And that's why I think he's going to continue to crush it. But really appreciate our convo. We shit talked a little bit, gave some secrets of the industry, and definitely was a privilege of mine to sit down with him, get to know him a little bit more. We always exchange clients if we have someone in our cities wanting to buy or sell in each other's, and I really appreciate Derek's friendship and our business relationship as well. So without further ado, Derek Thistle, I hope you enjoy. I really, really hope if you are not in the real estate space, you continue to listen, because I know there's nuggets of gold that you can apply to your life as well. Rise and grind. All right, we're here today with Derek Thistle, my friend, fellow agent up in Calgary, one of Calgary's top agents. Derek, welcome. Before we started recording, you were telling me kind of this crazy run that you've been on like all year. First off, congrats on that. But, we were just mentioning things slowing down a little bit and how that maybe breath of fresh air was welcoming for you. Bring the listener up to speed with how your year's been and how the Calgary market's been, because I know it's a little different now.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, buddy. I'm honored to hang out with you for the next little bit here. Learn from you as well. So, yeah, man, market's been weird here in Calgary. We're saying, the talking amongst my peers is, worst market we've seen since pre-COVID. Having that said, I've had my biggest year. Yeah, I've had my biggest year ever. 84 firm transactions this year. I think 4 or 5 are CS, so should hopefully firm a few of those, maybe land 85, 86 this year, but things have slowed down quite a bit, which is in sales we never want it to be slow, but we've been so blessed to have such a busy year. You need time to kind of hit the brakes, reevaluate the systems and processes and things that are working, that aren't working, and really get that foundational work into play. And I find for me, historically, every December, well, I don't sell shit. So this is my time to kind of hit the brakes, look at everything, and try to make things better, and then come back even stronger for the following year.
Man, there's a lot to get in there too, because I feel the same. I feel like December, January is almost like an off season. There's still the odd transaction, but it's like you kind of have to regroup and be like, okay, I've had my head down for 10 months. What can we change before technically the season starts again, right? Now, before we get into that, Derek, I want to rewind the clock a little bit, because I know Derek as Derek the Realtor that crushes up in Calgary, but I know you haven't been in real estate for that long. Can you bring the listener and myself up to speed with your former life as a police officer? I'm really curious to hear about your chapter of your life in that career.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. I'll keep it short. I don't want to bore anybody. So way back in 2005, I moved to Canada from a place called Newfoundland. I wanted to be a police officer. That was my joke, man. Come on. I wanted to be a copper back home, but at the time they were only hiring visible minorities, and they said, "Yeah, man, we're not hiring white guys." I'm like, "We're in Newfoundland. That's all we have." But Calgary was. So I moved to Calgary in 2005. Got my gun and badge, and I put almost 18 years in policing the streets of Calgary. Right? Had an
How
amazing.
old were you when you started then?
28. Yeah. Yeah, so I had an amazing career. I did some really, really cool specialty units, a part of some really, really cool investigations, some big stuff. Again, had an amazing career. But the last year, things kind of took a change for me up top, if you catch my drift. And, I come from a world of, I'm a Newfoundlander, mid-40s at the time. Like mental health, we didn't talk about that. It was frowned upon, right? So had a really, really tough final year policing 2020. A lot of tragedy. One of my friends got killed at work in the line of duty. Really, really hard to deal with. Without going into too many details, a couple more calls followed that, which kind of pushed me maybe a little bit over the edge in terms of just severe depression, complex PTSD. I wasn't sleeping. I was being a bad parent, a bad partner. I just didn't know how bad I actually was, right? Then January of 2021, and I'll keep this brief, I got hurt after a really hard call involving a child who was, well, we won't need to go any further, and I had to have surgery. So maybe there is a God, and maybe they said, "Hey, you need a break from all this." And while I was off on medical leave, someone said, a guy named Courtney Atkinson said to me, he's like, "You'd be good at real estate." And I'm like, "That sounds fun, right?" And I'm an action kind of guy. When I get an idea, I have to do it. And so I got my license a couple months later. I go back to the doctor to get approved for full police duties. He said, "No way." He said, "You're not going anywhere near guns." He said, "You have severe complex PTSD. You don't sleep. You go home and you poke your kids because you think they're dead." So you have serious, you need a break. And I said, "I'm going to put you on stress leave." So, well, I don't take stress leave because I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. So I took an unpaid leave of absence and started real estate because that's a genius idea. Right? And then, really, really quickly, my first 3 weeks, I sold 5 houses. I was on a big team. First year, 49 transactions in 9 months. And then I went solo. Since then, I guess I've been pretty successful. I just hit 304 transactions in 4.5 years in real estate.
That's insane, man. That's insane. First off, thanks for your vulnerability there. Like, I didn't know all of that, admittedly, and I can't even begin to comprehend that line of work and all the things that you have to go through. And to see you kind of on the other side of that is really cool to see. Now, thanks, I wanted to get into more of that. When you start real estate, there's nothing guaranteed. What did you do to hit the ground running? I know you're a part of a team, but even if you start on a team, the average agent might sell 5 to 10 homes, maybe. So walk me through like that first 6 months and maybe what you did proactively to crush it out of the gates.
Yeah, man. So, coming from policing, I was big on, structure, SOPs, which is a special operating procedure. So, I mean, policing, we had a manual for how to go to bathroom in police uniform, right? So, I'm coming from a world of structure, structure, structure into a business where there's no structure, right? But I did join a big team who provided me leads, and they did have a pretty amazing system in play, and they told me what to do. And being a good soldier, I did what they told me to do, and it worked, right? And this was baffling. I'll give you an example. There was 85 people on that team, and they preached do this, 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 and one of the steps was like a bomb video, a personalized video to a new client or new lead. And sure, I did it because they told me to do it. But of those 85 people on the team, only three of us were actually using the bomb video, right? And I saw it as a powerful tool to kind of rehumanize the process. And my conversions were significantly higher than the majority of the team because, well, they weren't using video. And it was baffling to me that on this big giant team, they put all this money into training and telling us what to do, and well, not everyone was doing it, right? So to answer your question, I was a good soldier. I did what they told me to do, and I got results.
It's funny how like that sounds so simple, but there's like a certain level of vulnerability involved with putting your face on video too, right? Whether it be social
Yep.
media, whether it be sending a stranger essentially, maybe you've had a convo with them, a bomb or a loom or a vidyard. Like there's a lot of different and it's like $10 a month for these little software things, and it could literally change your business. Where do you think, looking back, where do you think the friction was with those other agents not doing the things that were laid out in that manual to success, essentially?
Yeah, man, I think, well, I mean, people are, I think they mean well, have good intentions, but I think people lack discipline. I mean, um, and I don't mean to knock anybody by any means, but one thing policing taught me was, again, SOPs, special operating procedures. Like we took the steps and we ensured the steps were done. So when a new lead or whatever came into my world, or was assigned to me, I would follow the same steps every time religiously. And it was just discipline, right? With video, at first it wasn't comfortable, especially for me. At one point in my career, I was a plain clothes undercover officer. Right.
Yeah.
So my name on Facebook, for example, for years was Wayne Bond 007. Right. So for me to go from being so covert, right, to now being overt, I mean, that was hard for me initially, but I believed in it. Right. And one thing I started to do day one in real estate was posting on social media and posting videos,
Yep.
right? And I wasn't just posting about real estate, I was posting about me, my family, what makes me a little different. And this is you'll love this. I posted every day for 9 months and nobody calls me. Not a single human.
Wow.
Right? But what I was doing is I was building up all this traction, right? So when I did make the decision to finally leave that big team, obviously I'm now scared, I'm nervous, I'm not confident about, like, where's all the business going to come
Yep.
from.
Yep.
But literally the day I left the big team, my phone rang, and it was somebody who had been following me for a few months on social media. He said, "Hey Derek, been following you, looks like you're doing great." He goes, "Would you help my girlfriend buy a condo? Please don't tell my wife."
Jesus Christ.
And it was my ideal client. It was someone from my world of
Yeah.
policing, someone who I've never met. But they stumbled upon me and they started to consume my content. They got to know me as a person, trusted me, saw some of my results, had confidence in me, and boom, helped them buy a house. You
I'm
know?
I'm pretty firm on this, like, and I'm willing to draw a line in the sand when, because when I was a part of a team, a lot of agents would be like, well, I'm not comfortable sharing my personal life on social, and I don't want to show people my hobbies or my kids or my spouses or whatever the case is, and I would always have to kind of dance around it because I was a team leader and I didn't want to
Sure.
offend them, but I'm fine drawing the line in the sand that if an agent wants success and they're not comfortable doing it, it's just not the industry for you. I'm sorry, like it's not, right?
I agree with that. I think there's different ways to do this business. I can name off maybe seven, maybe eight lead gen pillars, right? And they're all effective if you go all in. But I would argue social media, building your personal brand, by far will net you the biggest results with the minimal
Yep.
cost,
Yeah. Like
right?
how much does it cost us to do this right now or to post anything to do today? $0, right?
And
Zero.
I'll get 10 deals from this podcast.
There we go. Yeah. I'll send that
Maybe
referral
not,
letter.
maybe
Yeah.
not.
Man, so like man, I get so fired up about this stuff and I hope a lot of agents watch this. I know my audience isn't just agents obviously, but like there's a lot of I would say value in sharing your story because it makes that initial reach out a lot less awkward. That's what I found anyways. When a client comes to you or you meet someone out in the world, it's just that first interaction is there's less friction there and it's less awkward. I find I don't know if you find the same way, but just like that first person reached out to you, they kind of already know you, they know what you're about, right?
I'll tell you an inspiring story. This has happened so many times, but here's just one example. A lady reaches out through my website, a website contact, whatever, looking at listing her house, right? She lives out of province. So she was hoping for a phone call the following day to talk about maybe selling, right? So religiously, I followed my process, my structure. I sent her a personalized bomb video. Say, hey, I'm Derek, best realtor in the world, ex-copper. Don't worry if you get a ticket, I'll let you off the whatever, right? And then I set her up on my P9, so Matrix portal, whatever, and I put her in my CRM. So she started to get dripped on with video messages, right? Like, hey, you're thinking about selling. This is some things we're going to cover over the next 10 days. So I have like a video series, if you will. I call her the next day. Okay. She goes, hey, Derek, I've spoken to 6 realtors today. I'm like, oh, shit. And she goes,
Here we go,
but
here we go.
I feel like I know you. I loved your video. I thought that was really, really unique. And we've already chosen you. $1.3 million listing that was in mahogany, by the way. Not
Wow.
bad for sending a video.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. It just like what comes to my mind is just delayed gratification, right? Because you took the time in to make those videos, you're making them evergreen, and a
Yep.
lot of time the consumer thinks you actually created those specifically for that person. They don't really know, and you had the CRM, you had that email drip, you had all those things in place, and then all of a sudden you get the results from it. And what I tell agents is like, well, if you got the results right away, there's a no-brainer you would figure out how to do that email drip. It's just you have to put in the work before you get the reward, right?
I love that you said that because this is something I heard recently. It was from, I think, Tom Ferry. We all know Tom Ferry. Um, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. So 3%, maybe 4% of all humans are looking to make a decision right now, right?
Hmm.
17% are just intel gathering. Another 20% are problem aware, and the remainder, so what is that? 60%, 40, I don't know, whatever the math is, oblivious. They don't know they need us, whatever, right? But
Yep.
all salespeople focus on that 3 or 4%, the low hanging fruit. The real opportunity is in that 17% who are intel gathering, the 20% who are problem aware. The fortune is in the follow up, right? So you need systems and foundations in play who's going to then, nurture and educate and bring value and entertain and people and warm people up to you for when they're ready. I know in 3 months I've got 6 or 7 listings coming, right? Because people I've started those conversations with because they came
Hmm.
into my world and now I'm dripping on them and we're communicating, right? So salespeople need to understand that the real fortune, again, is in the follow up, not that low hanging fruit.
Man, and I love that. And I think if salespeople just focus on that 3 to 4%, yeah, there's some deals there. But I think then you ride the roller coaster of real estate where it can be busy and then you're dead for 3 months and then you
Yeah.
get a few deals and then you're dead for it. Like it's just an emotional, absolute roller coaster. And I think honestly, that's why agents leave the business. They just get burnt out. They can't handle the how much it fluctuates, right?
100%, man. And the idea is to build a consistent, predictable business. I mean, I'm not stressed out about next spring. I know there's going to be dozens of listings because I've already started those conversations, right? There's a whole
Yeah.
lots more tactics, of course, in play, but agents or any kind of salespeople need to have systems in place to nurture people, for when and be in front of them when it's their time to either buy or sell or whatever, or just whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. I want to, Derek, circle back on two parts and kind of double click on both of them, and
Yeah.
they're kind of the same. So there must have been a window of time where, from policing to real estate, there would have been probably some fear, like, holy smokes, after a long career, you're going into something new, and then the second time going from a large team to solo agent, I'd imagine there was some fear, some friction there. Can you help the listener understand, like, when someone is feeling those insecurities, that worrisomeness, what did you do to just kind of push forward and get into that next phase? Was there anything that you did, or is that just the way you are?
So great question. So it was scary. First, when I first walked away from policing to explore real estate, I initially had all that success, right? But I knew if I was going to do this business, I didn't want to build someone else's brand. I wanted to create my own legacy for my kids to be proud of. I wanted to be my own thing, right? And that was important to me, right? So I had a lot of success, like I said, that first 9 months. But when I was leaving, like I was terrified, right? So much so that even the biggest realtors in the land who I was speaking with, who were encouraging me to go solo, I actually joined another team for about 2 months.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
small team. It was just me, two other very very experienced realtors, a husband and wife couple, great people. We met 'cause we had done a deal a few months earlier, and they said to me, like, hey, we're going to provide you all these leads. You just teach us how to convert them, help us build out our CRM, show us what a bomb. I'm like, this sounds great. This is a perfect scenario, right? They got the lead, so I can breathe a little easier because I'm now. I mean, leaving that team, I was a little brainwashed about paid leads and
Mm-hmm.
just the sheer
Mm-hmm.
volume coming in. Because in this business, we only have one job, and that's lead acquisition. A monkey could sell a house. Let's
Yeah.
face it, right?
Yeah.
So I joined that small team, and after 2 months, they were the number one team for their brokerage, which is the first time they've ever accomplished that. And they spent 3 weeks in Belize, while Derek sold 12 houses. Um, so that wasn't working for me. So then I made the decision to leave those guys and truly go solo. And as an added layer of stress, I had to make a decision to actually leave the Calgary Police Department,
Mm,
Calgary Police Service. So they gave me the ultimatum, like, hey, you've been away for a year. You need to now make a decision. And I'm like, well,
sure.
ugh. Right? So it all kind of happened at the same time. Yes, I was scared, but I'm also an action kind of guy. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. Right? Just like leaving, Newfoundland to fly across the country. I knew I was gonna get hired as a copper. There was no one telling me otherwise. Right? Flew across the city or country, got my gun and badge 4 months later. Same with this. So I'm gonna make it as a solo realtor. I'm gonna work my butt off. I know what to do. I've been taught well, trained well, and I went in, all in.
Yeah, good for you, man. Because I think a lot of times, our stories overlap a bit because I went from corporate job to real estate, and that friction,
Yeah.
that transition of a season was like I was frightened. I remember being so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm giving up this salary to then go into full sales. But in hindsight, it's a no brainer. But you don't realize that when you're in that specific moment.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I see this in my community, I see this in every city I go to, is you see an agent, they start doing a decent amount of business, whether that's 30, 40, 50, 60 transactions, and they naturally just want to start a team, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um has that ever crossed your mind, and if so, why do you not want to go that route? Because what people don't understand is doing 80, 90 transactions like you are, that requires you to be so optimized in your process. And I think many agents, I would say 90%, would want to start a team, even though I know I wouldn't. I've seen behind the curtains of too many teams to
Yeah.
know all of that mess that goes with it. But where do you feel like you're at now, production wise, and what's the next level, if any? Or are you just gonna stay status quo?
Yeah, so man, that's an amazing question. And I'll be honest, like I'm not I wouldn't say I'm torn because I see value in kind of expanding and bringing on some help and alleviating some of this workflow. But having that said, I'm a bit of a control freak too, right? Like even when I go on vacation, I'm a little nervous that whoever's covering for me is not providing the same level of service or level of care that I would have, right? Um, you know, I'm not. I mean, I was a police sergeant and I babysat adults, right? I don't know if I want that added layer of stress or drama in
Hmm.
my life,
Hmm.
right? And when people hire Derek, they hire Derek.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I've explored the idea of maybe bringing on a buyer agent. Now I think I have. He's a police officer. He's my best friend. I trust him. So I do think that's going to work out. But we're very like minded. And everyone knows, for the last 18 years in policing, we've been partners. We've been best friends. So I feel like he's a good extension of my brand. But to bring in, like, I mean, I get offers from realtors daily.
I can't
Hey man,
imagine.
hey
Yeah.
man, when are you starting a team? I want to learn. I want to do all your stuff. I mean, it sounds good, but I'd rather have full control and have like a really, really solid business. I mean, right now, Ryan, I'm getting 4 times the industry average referrals. I mean, that's the biggest compliment ever,
Yep.
right? So what if I were to take on 3 people? The level of care isn't there. Before you know it, that gets diluted to no referrals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I don't think I'll ever do a team, but there is some things I want to explore in this business that are not, direct sales. Um, passing along some of the knowledge, some of the structures I've built on social media, for example. Other than that, yeah, I don't think I'll ever do a team.
Yeah, there's something, and I don't know why the real estate industry is like this. It's like people expect that's the next thing you do. Once you get to a production level, it's like this sexy thing to start a team, and I don't know if
Yeah.
that's ego or what it is, but like what I say is like, well, if you want profit, which I think we all do, like let's be honest, building a team is not the right way to profit the most. Like it takes years, probably a decade, to make a team as profitable as probably what a high producing solo agent is. I've seen behind the curtains of too many, and it's just
Yeah.
I'm willing to draw a line in the sand there. Talk to me about the Calgary market from when you started. Totally different now, right?
Yeah.
How has that changed from the consumer standpoint, and where do you see kind of the Calgary market heading?
Yeah, man. So another amazing question. When I started in April of 2021, like I'll say it again, a monkey could sell a house.
Yeah.
It was easy. We were order takers, right? Fast forward to now, I think it's a very challenging market, and it's forced me to learn new skill sets, implement new strategies, processes. Like we've never had to do a weekly report to the seller before, right? The don't fire me report. So every Tuesday,
Yeah.
my full time business manager. So I have an admin who's amazing. She's so amazing that I've actually gave her the title business manager, and I treat her like an equal. Right. I
Nice.
overpay
Nice.
her, but she's amazing. Right. So one thing I would strongly encourage people to have is someone to help them with the administrative stuff, so they can focus on marketing, our only job, lead acquisition. But we do the weekly "Don't Fire Me" report, where we're gonna do like a little mini comp. Talk about the different I don't know, showings, feedback, the realtor.ca hit counters, the social media metrics, the Google, the Meta ad campaign results. And we're throwing all this in front of the seller to kind of help us, obviously communicate with them and then articulate like, hey, we need a price adjustment or whatever. Right. So we're doing a lot of these things now that we didn't have to do before, because a house would sell in 13 minutes.
Yep.
Right. So
Yep.
now it's a lot more holding hands. So market is very challenging right now. 7,000 houses on the market today. 2 years ago, 2,000 houses on the market in any given month. So extreme seller's condition to more balanced, closer to a buyer's market here in Calgary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting time when you have to educate the seller on like, hey, actually, it's not my fault; it's the market's fault. And you
Yeah.
can't just tell that to a seller because they're going to
No.
be like, I hired you, Derek, to sell my house. Why is my house not selling?
Always
So
our fault first.
yes, exactly. And so it is a fine line, and I love that you're taking an education based
Yeah.
approach to that. Because at the end of the day, like the market is the market, as they say, right? And it's tough. You can't force a buyer into buying a house. So
And I think you have to like go into a listing presentation and you have to be, you have to kind of paint the picture, right? And I find myself competing with more listings than ever, right? I've only lost one listing appointment in my career, right?
wow.
But I'm being real with people and I'm preloading like, hey, we both have the same end game, net you the most amount of money, but this is where we're at based on this, this, and this, right? But that's also an opportunity for me to show value in what I do to market a property, whereas most realtors unfortunately don't do
Hmm.
any real proactive marketing. Taking some photos, putting on the MLS, sitting back, waiting for an offer is
Well,
it's not really how you sell a house
they
nowadays.
haven't had to, right? From 21 to
Yeah,
23, 4-ish. And
yeah.
it's funny, like the conversations I'm having now in Medicine Hat in 2020, end of 2025, early 2026 are the exact same convos I was having in 2018, 19 with sellers.
Wow.
And it's like, hey, it's just a different toolkit, but agents need to be aware of what
Yeah.
toolkits to wear depending on the market, right? It's just
Yep.
different. It's different. So,
100%.
um, now I I follow very very few agents on social for a
Me too.
reason. Most of them drive me nuts.
Yep.
But I want to take a moment in this and talk about your social because I see all these different elements of like there's a lot of humor involved. There's a lot of vulnerability involved, but there's also like this I would say like you intertwine results but in a funny way where you're not bragging but
Yeah.
how do you do that, man? Because that's a unique skill. Because I think people get sick of realtors saying, "Look at how awesome I am! I'm
Yeah.
fantastic," and they unfollow. But I can tell you do it differently. So dive into that for me a little bit.
So, this could be its own podcast, to be honest,
Yeah.
right? So, I'm pretty proud of where I'm at social media wise. I went from 11 followers to I think I just hit 4,000, and that's just vanity metrics. Okay, just to be very, very clear, views, likes, it doesn't matter. I know realtors who are north of $1 million who got 200 followers. It's all
Yeah.
about the engagement. It's all about having a way to convert the people who come into your world into clients. And I'll touch on that in a second. But number one, I think we have to create our own hype in marketing. It's one of the first rules, right? So I learned a valuable lesson way back in Newfoundland when I was playing in a band. Okay, we were gonna put a CD out. Remember CDs,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So the manager at the time said, "Hey guys, we're gonna be on the cover of a Newfoundland music magazine." We're like, "Oh wow, we're a big deal. How did we get that?" He's like, "Well, we paid $750 to be on the cover." And we were outraged. We're like, "We don't what? What? We're not paying for that." And he said, "Trust me, and you have to create your own hype." So we were on the cover of this Newfoundland magazine. Everyone's talking now about our band, and sure as shit, guess who sold out of CDs the following weekend? Valuable lesson, right? So I think it's critical to create your own hype. You know, so yes, you wanna show your results, of course, but in a way that you're not bragging. And I think I come from a world that's so dark and negative, and I think I can get away with being a little bit silly because people know when I need to be serious, I'm very serious,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I've attended hundreds of fatalities, suicides, homicides. I've been there, done it, right? But I'm allowed to be a little silly now and a little um I don't know, bring humor into it. I think I can get away with it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think it's so critical for realtors to, sure, they need to show their results. In my opinion, social media is all about either entertaining or bringing value, so educating, right? But if you can splash in your personality and then leverage what I call the 1/3 rule, so 1/3 real estate to show your business, social credibility, 1/3 you, your family, your lifestyle, and then your final 1/3 your special sauce. What makes you a little different? For me, I'm an ex-cop, and I bring
Mm-hmm.
street level insight to the business. I think people then if they like me, great. If they don't, well, I'm not the realtor for them,
I
right?
think I think there's sorry to interrupt. There's something
Yep,
important there that you're actually not only attracting people that are naturally going to fit you better, but you're also repelling those danger clients too, right?
yep,
I think that's really cool. That 1/3 rule is awesome, and you've tapped into your superpower, which is your story and your ability to be vulnerable. And every agent has that. It just takes a lot of self awareness to kind of uncover
100%.
that, right?
I know, like when I post a sold picture of a house, no one cares unless they're using social media as a tool to research me. They see sold, 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 sold. Okay, this guy's in business. He's good at what he does. Cool. But what's this video about him and his wife and the kids on a beach? Good, wow, good person, committed relationship, he's a good dad, whatever. What's this video? Oh, he's an ex-cop. He's bringing tactical insight to the policing. So I think I maybe attract like-minded people. I get a lot of cops, obviously, a lot of first responders, or maybe civilians who can appreciate that I might bring that extra level insight. Like, dude, I've patrolled every community in the city. I know where all the
Mm-hmm.
bad guys live, right?
Lit-
And I say to new people, like, hey,
Literally, yeah.
I say to new clients, like, look, you know what? I will never let you buy next to a bad guy, right?
There you go.
And people see value in that, and it's legit. Like I know all the CROs, the community resource officers. I mean, if I buy someone a Starbucks, they're pretty much telling me where the prolific offenders are in the area. If you catch my drift,
Right? Yeah.
right? But like as a parent, safety and security are non-negotiables. And I'm a very selfish realtor, Ryan. I want to sleep at night. Man, I did night shifts for 18 years. I've earned my sleep, right? So I want to put people into the right scenario, the right situation, the right house where I can sleep at night. I want them to call me as well in 4 to 5 years when they want to sell the house. And
Yep.
now, being in the market or business for 4.5 years, I'm getting a big influx now of repeat business.
Yep. Those mortgages are coming up, right?
Right? This is a fascinating fact, and I'm just probably completely off topic. 1 out of 4 humans will use the same realtor. Man, we need to make that 3.5 out of 4.
Yep.
I want all that repeat business,
Mhm.
right? And things like social media is maintenance because I want people into my world. I want them consuming Derek, 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 Derek every day, or so I'm top of mind when they're ready, or their aunt is ready. And it's very rare. I'll go a day or two without a lead or a referral or someone come into my world from social media. Hey,
Wow.
Derek, been following your stuff for a while. I don't have any credit, but my aunt's dog walker is looking for a realtor. Do you help aunt's dog walkers buy houses? I help aunt's dog walkers buy houses all fucking day long,
Yeah, right, right.
right?
It's funny, like, because you're basically looking at social as a long-term nurture as well, and kind
100%.
of keeping past clients, future clients front of mind, which is a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
Really cool way. And circling back to those like solds or new listings, like let's be honest, a lot of it is just a client expectation. If you have a
Yes.
listing, I don't, and that's why I don't think agents' feeds should be full of just that stuff because you're just gonna wear other people out, right? So I don't know.
And that's a really really great point. A lot of sellers will hire me and they'll call me point blank like, wow, I saw that big fancy listing video, would you do that for my property? I do it for every property, right? So I don't think the fancy listing videos sell houses. I think it appeases the client. I think they love to see it. But more often than not, it attracts the next transaction or next listing,
We're
right?
unveiling the secrets of the business that the consumer doesn't want to know, right? Like, let's be
we,
honest. Like,
we are,
listings
yeah.
are a mechanism for
Yeah.
future business for agents. Hundred
When I
percent.
walk into someone's house and I show them like, hey, your last realtor put your house in the newspaper. That's what they did, right? I'm going to leverage Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. In my opinion, not the best because people are just doom scrolling. There's no real intent. But the real magic, my friend, is in Google and YouTube ads. And then I'll show them metrics on my phone. Do you think 8,000 views and 624 clicks on your property, sending people to a beautiful landing page where there's a 3D tour, a comparative market analysis, walk score, showing price? Do you think that could be value to your house and selling it? It's a no-brainer. I'm leveraging technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
It's the old saying, "Show don't tell," right? Because you're showing them.
yeah, but at the end of the day, does it all work? Probably not. At the end of the day, someone's going to be on realtor.ca and they're going to see a house they like, request a showing.
Yeah.
But again, it appeases the seller, shows how hard we are working. I mean, sure, there's one-offs where I get a phone call like, "Hey, man, I'm a realtor, saw your listing video. I'm bringing a client tomorrow or sending you an offer," right? But
Yeah. You got to try, right? And I
You
think
got to.
like a lot of that stuff too. At least I enjoy, kind of going down wormholes of new strategies because I think that is a lot of times when you're in competition on a listing, you might spit something out of your mouth, and that is the thing that the seller leaves with and remembers the most, right? And you just don't know
Great
what
point.
that's going to be. Yeah.
Great point. Yeah.
What job or what part of this job? Because we wear about 1,000 different hats in a day. What part do you enjoy the most?
Honestly, man, social media.
Yeah.
So yesterday I had an hour in between showings. I blasted out 5 videos and I edited them through just CapCut, uploaded it into my Loomly calendar. So I use a social media calendar. Like I did that all in an hour, right? And it was the best part of my day. I'm laughing at myself. I'm super cheesy. I'm like, I'm an idiot, man. I'm just like in my car laughing at myself. I must look like anyway.
You're
Um,
probably in some random parking lot parked by yourself. Oh yeah.
if I could do that all day long every day, that's probably what I would do. Right now, I don't touch paperwork to be honest. Britt, my business manager, she does everything from writing offers to proactively, getting condo docs or getting RPRs done. She does all the communication with the client, after we start working together, right? So she's like the catch-all. So because I have someone like that in my corner, I can really focus on, again, the only job we have, which is lead acquisition. And for me, it's been social media.
That's so important. Like that whole what you just said there is it's so good to have someone taking care of all that stuff too, right?
Well, I
So
mean,
important.
I love that, realtors want to understand the process and understand the paperwork, and they should, right? But once they get a good grip on everything and a thorough understanding, right, they need to then pivot and they can't get lost in that daily minutia of doing a FinTrack document, right? You need to be attracting people, building your pipeline because he or she who has the biggest pipeline wins,
Period.
right?
Yep.
People say to me, Ryan, oh man, you're successful because you're a cop, you know all the cops. Last I checked, there was 12 police realtors in Calgary, and I get 10 times as much business as all of them.
Yep.
Why? Because I'm overt. I'm social media. I'm consistent. I'm disciplined. I'm in everyone's face consistently because I know my only job is to attract leads, and I think organically is the best through social media because it casts the biggest net.
Love that. And I think too the way algorithms are working now, your content's getting to the people that want it too.
Yeah.
And I think that shifted, especially in the last year that I've noticed. Like, whether I'm posting about golf or real estate or family, it's like it almost like just gets to that avatar that I want it to get to without really doing anything. It's really cool, really
Well,
cool actually.
I've had people say to me when I brought up your name, like, "Hey, man, I got a great guy down in Medicine Hat named Ryan," and someone said to me, "He's the golf pro, right?" So you've like right there. That's so special. Like you're the super successful realtor. I mean, you've got the social credibility, but you're a family guy. I know what your family looks like. Beautiful family. I know what your house looks like, but I know you're the golf guy, right?
Yeah,
And as a like-minded person, like if I want to talk about golf, there's a high likelihood I'm gonna engage with that content that you put out there,
yep.
right? So it's your special sauce. I love that. You have a very clear brand,
It
right?
and I think what we talked about earlier. Every agent kind of has that, but they need to figure that. It takes time to figure that out, right? It
Right?
does. It does very much so. Couple two more topics I want to get to.
Okay. Okay.
AI and your videographer.
Okay.
Your videos are for your listings in the last couple months have been really cool, and they're very catchy to me. And I want to know more because there's an AI element in there. How involved are you in that, or do you just tell your videographer, "Here's the listing," and go do it?
So because I do so much like talking head video stuff on Instagram or whatever, there's so much of me. I made a conscious decision to not touch the listing videos anymore. Okay. So, like 2 years ago,
Nice.
I was the guy doing, the big intros, like, hey, welcome to 123 Main Street, check this house. But I found in the last year especially, there's so many realtors doing the video intros. It's almost become like white noise for me. And it's almost like I swipe every time. And I did notice my watch times are actually declining. So I said, you know
Interesting.
what? I'm going to let the house be the star, and I'm going to give my videographer full creative control to do whatever you want, do something interesting in the follow the trends, which is always changing. Right now, it's all that fancy AI kind of balloons on a house or a house exploding, whatever. Right now, that's working. And I think it showcases the house and it's getting insane views, shares, engagement. So for now, that's working. To answer your question, I give them full creative control, but everything, the goalposts are constantly
Yeah,
changing,
yeah. I
you know?
like that. It sounds like you're putting, whether it be your business manager or your videographer, you're putting them in the spot to where their skill set shines, right? Like, let's be honest, we're not videographers. We can make a social media post and edit it a basic amount, but like, your videographer is trained in that. He knows the trends and he'll adjust as things move, right?
It's policing mindset. Like, if I'm an operational sergeant and I need a door kicked, I'm not telling my constables to do it. I'm calling out the tactical unit, right? If we're
Good
running
point.
a stolen vehicle down Deerfoot, I'm going to have my marked units back off and get surveillance assets in play, including the helicopter and unmarked canine vehicles, because they're trained to do that. So you need, as an entrepreneur, to leverage people around you who are better. I don't do my own home inspections.
Right.
Fuck, I don't know what a high efficiency furnace looks like.
Hey
But
Derek,
but it doesn't matter.
is this 2x6 or 2x8
I
construction?
don't
Right.
know, but that inspires confidence because I have the ability to put my hand up and ask for help. And clients love that. The same way my constables wanted to work with me as a sergeant because they knew, well, Thistle's not going to throw us into a dangerous situation without asking for help. Right. And I've got to a point in my career where even on these big critical level 2 incidents where we needed like tactical units or snipers in play, negotiators, like I got to a point where my leadership is like, Derek, you know what you're doing, make the decision. I'm like, well, okay, just want to bounce it off you first. You know what I mean? As an entrepreneur, you have to leave your ego at the door and then leverage people that are better than you. Right. I mean, I don't know how to work a camera.
Right.
Have at her, boys.
We can hardly get this Riverside up and going. So,
Jesus.
oh man. Well, how old are you now, Derek?
I'm 48.
Man, so I didn't know that you were that old, to be honest. But then I was kind of adding up how many years you've been in police. How many? I'm like, holy shit, he's got some age to him. How do you keep so fit? How much does health and fitness fit into your life? What are you doing to make time for that?
Again, structured guy. I mean, every morning I'm at the gym from 7 till about 8:30. I don't miss gym time. When it's a slower day, which hasn't been the case in the last few months, but I'll always get a second round of cardio in the afternoon on my Peloton, right? I think it's important you need time for you, right? And I'm the kind of guy, I mean, I can work all day long and be completely content, right? The other day, I sold 2 houses on a Sunday night. When I was finished, I jumped on my computer and started going down the AI rabbit hole,
Mm-hmm.
learning because I'm excited about it. And my wife said, "You need to take it off, turn it off now and watch some TV," right? So I think it's important to prioritize your health. You got to plan, even just eating, right? Like, how many times are we rushing around because someone needs a last minute showing, whatever? Before you know it, you need to go through the Wendy's drive-through.
Yep.
Well, you got to plan, so you're not in that scenario, right? So me, I do meal prep. I do have an idea of what I'm, going to eat throughout the day. It's not always perfect, but I think we have to prioritize health because if not, we're going to start feeling crappy or we're going to feel less energy. And when you're not positive, feeling good, and even feeling confident, you're not bringing that energy to someone's house,
I think
right?
clients can smell that more than we think too.
Totally,
When
man.
yeah,
Totally.
and I think that's a big part that agents miss. They just kind of go through the motions. They show up and whether it be how clean your car is or what you're dressed like or your energy, your
Yep.
handshake, like there's so many little things that go into an image and go into a first impression that I think it's
You know,
it's important.
the biggest feedback I get from a listing appointment is, man, your energy, right? And this is something I want to throw out there. When AC/DC hits the stage and plays Thunderstruck, they've probably played it what 18,000 times live, right? But they're in a new city, probably 40,000 new fans or old fans, whatever. They play that song like it's the first time, and everyone goes bananas. That's what professionals do. They bring the energy. And sales is just a transference of enthusiasm, right? And if I get hired consistently on my energy and my, running through the house, jumping in bathtubs, being excited, liking someone's house, yeah, man, I'm winning the listing. Because they
Yep.
know I believe in the house. They believe in me. They're like, this guy is excited. He's pumped. He's gonna work his ass off to get this thing sold. Right?
Man, that's so valuable, and like it's the little things that because some agents will ask me like, what do you do with in listing appointments? I'm like, well, there's a billion things that you could do, but I usually just ask them like, are you at least telling the sellers that you like their house and
Yeah.
that it would be an honor to sell it? Like, and they're like, no. I'm like, well, let's start there, right? Like let's. And like it's just those little things. But if you're in competition with 4 or 5 agents and you actually tell the sellers, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I really like your house. It would be an honor for me to put my best foot forward and sell this for you. Like just that in itself could be the thing, right? So I don't know.
People like people who like them and their things.
Yeah.
And there's true power in complimenting someone's house, asking them like, "Hey, what were your favorite parts of this house, and what sold it for you?" "Oh, Derek, look at this view." "Well, it's a concrete wall, but man, I get it. It's cool."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just finding common ground. Now, maybe policing gave me that kind of skill set to kind of
Mm-hmm.
change. I would say change to personality, but mirror people.
Sure.
Right? As a copper, you go into a domestic, you need to be able to get on the same page as, where people are. Even in advanced, interviewing tactics, mirroring people, building trust by repeating certain things back to them. There's all skill sets you learn, I think, as a copper, especially like reading body language and nonverbal cues. But I mean, anybody can kind of learn this stuff and just if they start paying attention and actively listening.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty powerful to say to someone, "Hey man, like what's your expectations here?" "Oh, 800K." "Well, where the hell does that come from?"
Right.
And for me, I'm able to challenge people. I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I don't mind making people feel uncomfortable. Right? Like, and that's just a different skill set. But there's a way to do these things that I think will experience. You'll get there as well. But I mean, anybody. I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, the things you lay out, how many skill sets can transfer from the policing world to real estate too. And I think that's something I never really thought about, but that's really cool. I know we're coming up on time here, but Derek, I just wanted to finish this off with where do you see the Calgary market heading? Because I'm curious because Medicine Hat always trails Calgary,
Yep.
not price point wise, but in terms of direction. We always trail 8 to 12 months all the time, right? To what's going on in Calgary. And then also, if someone's listening to this, they want to get a hold of you, best way to do that as well.
Yeah, you bet. So, you know, one thing I've learned in real estate is, man, I don't know what's going on. I do think there's a lot of pent up buyer demand this year, right? There's a lot of uncertainty in our market, due to Trump, the Canadian election, war in Ukraine. There's a lot of external stressors that have caused people to hit the brakes, right? But people, their buyers just didn't go away. They just kind of hit the brakes for a while, right? Is our market crashing? Hell no. Do we need a bit of a correction? Yeah, maybe, right? But we've had, a lot of new construction. Inventory has crept up just due to people, again, hitting the brakes. But net migration hasn't really slowed, right? So we're one, infrastructure project away from an exploding population again. People smarter than me at Remax, they think 2026 is going to be a rebound year.
Mm,
I don't know what that looks like, but I'm very optimistic. But having that said, for the realtors listening, I just had my biggest year ever in a crappy market.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
always real estate transacting, right? You just have to have your systems in play, your foundations, bring that next level experience, and you'll win, right? So I
so
think we're
true.
gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be
So
okay.
true. Yeah. Courtney, we mentioned Courtney earlier, but he told
Yep.
me one time, he's like, people always die, people always get born, people
Yep.
always get a divorce, people
Yep.
always get married, right? And people always move for work. So that's all you need.
When I was making that big decision to leave policing, I remember talking to an agent here in our market. Sorry, a couple agents, and they're big time agents. I won't say their names, but we're talking big agents. 20 years plus in the business, way over $1 million a year in GCI. One is over 2 million, right? And I said, "Hey, Thanks for taking my call, by the way. I'm nobody. And I said, things are great now. Market's on fire. I said, but what happens in the bad years, the slow years, the dips? And they said, Derek, our biggest years are from the slow years. That was powerful. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, all I got to do then is just be the best, or work the hardest, or put in the most amount of effort, and I'll be fine, right? But I mean, this year I found out. Well, I hit Titan status with Remax. Apparently, I'm the fastest, or one of the fastest in Remax history to hit the Titan level, right? So
Good for you,
it's
man. That's
in a
awesome.
bad market.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, keep crushing it, man. It's cool watching you win, especially transitioning from a very noble career to now being in real estate. I love when I see people transition into something else or into a sales environment where I know that there was a lot of fear, a lot of friction involved, a lot of
Mhm.
uncertainty, and then to watch people win, it gets me fired up. I love it so much. So good for you, man. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they are in the Calgary market, wanting to buy, sell, or just chat with you?
Yeah, you know what? Hit me up on my socials, Dirk Thistle underscore real estate, or Facebook, or throw me in Google, and you'll see me all over the place. So I've got all those foundations in play,
There you go.
right? And I love helping people, and I'm just I don't like what's the phrase I'll leave you with? I don't like selling people. I love shopping with friends.
Love that. We'll timestamp that right there. All right, all right, buddy. I appreciate your time. Take care. Keep crushing it. All right.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and
Yep.
I'm looking forward to building our relationship as we move forward as well, learning from you. So thank
Love it,
you.
man. All right, man. Take care.